Hello again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with you all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
Orange
It is that time, your favorite time of the week. We're not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews and your fantasy league. We've got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. Like Lindsay, Sutton, and Judy. We are that Mile High Broncos country.
Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news. What's up, Broncos country? Welcome to another free agency edition of Bourbon, Broncos, no BS. Sit back, relax, grab that beer, grab that drink. Remember, drink responsibly, don't drink and drive, but we're all glad you are here. We got Jared, Ayla, David, Matt in the background. Of course, Team Visor is here to bring it strong, and we had to invite Team Puffball to kind of mix it in. So lots of stuff to talk about. Want to hear your thoughts, your questions. We're here to talk with you, not at you, like some of those other bigger pages. But yeah, so a lot of stuff to talk about. And Jared, I'll move it over to you first, man. What you got?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of dealings done in the last week since we talked to you guys last, and I think the biggest one for a lot of people's mind is today with the signing. If you guys haven't watched, we signed Kareem Jackson back. We did let him hit the free market for a little bit. The strong safety market was not very hot this year. I think a lot of it had to do with the cap hit that a lot of people took, and people were trying to save some money. The other thing was there wasn't really any top strong safeties out there for him to really be compared to. So a 1-year deal is definitely big for him. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about Kyle Fuller. We're going to talk about the Shelby Harris deal, Ronald Darby, Justin Simmons, Von Miller's option, and obviously we're going to talk about letting Lindsay go and maybe a little bit of preview on what we think is going to happen through the draft now that we have some of our hot spots filled.
I like it. Ayla, over to you.
Yeah, it's looking pretty exciting in a responsible way. Is my opinion of it. It's like kind of slow and steady is looking good on how I think that things are going down right now. Everybody was expecting things to happen very quickly, a lot out of the chute, but we're getting a lot done, but in a responsible manner. So I'm liking the way it's looking right now.
I'm just going to go ahead and say for the people who still enjoy sensible headgear for this time of year, it may be nice weather where some of you live, but here in Colorado,
I was about to say I would be turning up if I was wearing that.
That's great for you. You have air conditioning. Get over it. Anyway, like Ayla said, it's nice that the team is making smart moves, not splashy, just for the sake of it moves. We've improved the roster quite a bit just in the last week, and it's going to be really, really interesting to break it all down and see what Broncos country thinks.
Which, by the way, we have some comments coming already. I'll finish it up with Matt before we kind of delve into some of these comments here.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what's happened so far. I mean, I think the secondary next year is going to be like just nonsense. It's going to be so good with Fuller and Callahan and Darby, and now Kareem Jackson's back. Damn, that's I don't know. It's going to be really nice. It's going to free up Alex Johnson. It's going to free up the pass rushers. Von Miller's back too. Let's not forget about that, right? So there's the defense is just. We were number 3 last year overall.
Mm-hmm.
I think this year
11. Yeah.
11th overall. The end, yeah.
11th overall by DVOA in pass defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's still good.
Listen, anything below top 3 defense next year is won't be good enough, right? So I'm really excited to see this crew come together.
So we do have a comment here. Let's see.
Zach, what's up?
John does the comment before that. We have to address it. Ryan, yes, we are going to change the lyrics. It is a work in process. We're going to probably change out the names in general so we don't avoid this problem every year.
Right. It's really not just as easy. I mean, I wish it were just as easy as let's just change it right now. But a lot goes into it. It'll happen. It's March, guys. Give us a break.
This just happened.
And let's get the whole team roster so that when the new song comes on, we're super solid with it. But we'll just roll with last year's for right now.
I want to hear the long snapper's name on our opening lyrics. Team Puffball demands the long snapper. That's my official demand for the evening. So far, we'll see how much bourbon I have, and we'll see how many more demands I have.
You can't make official demands there, David.
My name appears in the credits, sir. I think I can make an official demand. Yeah, that's right.
Credit
That's right. Listen, I'm driving this Twitter bus, and I'll crash it into any one of you if I so choose.
Hey man, we already said don't drink and drive.
That's true. That's true. It's a figurative driving. I want to make that very clear to the audience. It's a metaphor.
Okay, let's start diving into some of these questions. Now, John, good one. Does the Fuller signing mean Denver's replacing Locke or will draft JOK from Notre Dame? Now, this is a little down the road when it comes to the draft. I mean, it is, sooner rather than later at this point. But does it have an impact on our draft strategy in general from what you all see?
It has to. I mean, at this point, just because you don't have a glaring need, I think, anywhere on the team, you can really kind of target the best player available on your board. And if that's somebody who you think you can trade down into the first round and still get, that's all to the better. JOK, Notre Dame's JOK, Jeremiah Owosu Koromoa, I believe is how you pronounce his name.
He's going to be a stud, man.
You should know this already, David.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Anna. Anyway, big time linebacker for Notre Dame in the NFL. I mean, what do you think, Matt? Do you think he projects better to inside linebacker or more of a strong safety hybrid role?
Oh, for a 34, definitely inside linebacker. But I mean, somebody who can flow all over the field, right? Think about what Roquan Smith did with Vic Fangio back in Chicago. Played in the middle, but you saw him fly sideline to sideline, up and down the field. So, I think, JOK, because I can't say it. I think he would slide right into that system next to Alex Johnson. Beautiful. So, and if we're ever in a nickel package, then you can maybe play that strong side, sort of safety hybrid or whatever. But I see this guy as a middle linebacker, tough, fast, athletic, perfect for the system.
I think you're speaking Jared's language right now.
Yeah, I've been asking for an inside linebacker for 5 years, and I'm so tired of not picking him up. And if we do end up trading back from 9, I think it's going to be interesting. But we also have to remember someone we didn't get to see at all last year is Justin Stranad. I think they might have some plans for him coming in to see what he can do. He was injured early. I think he was injured in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. So he didn't really get to see much. Yeah, he didn't get to see any time really. So I'm interested to see where they play him in the whole aspect. I do think Johnson is going to be a beast again. I think he's going to be that inside guy. It's kind of tightening up that, but I mean we're talking about picking holes, poking holes in things that our defense is just going to be so good as it is. If we can just, get our offense going, and that's going to be our biggest concern this year. But and that's another one is where do we poke holes in that one? It's kind of a weird thing.
Well, Jared, I might have to poke holes in we're drafting a first round linebacker this year. Just devil's advocate here.
There's
Alexander.
only one first-round linebacker available, and I think that's Micah Parsons.
All right.
Well, maybe JOK would be as well.
Right.
Debatably,
If he's trade
That'd be
back
a late rounder
for sure. Yeah. But both Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson are unrestricted free agents next year.
Right.
It seems to me like, especially Jewell played well last year for like the first year. He really played consistently well for an entire season. I would think Peyton would probably want to see as much of him as he could before deciding what he wants to do with it next year.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a good point.
And Johnson, you're talking about a guy who may be getting like a big money contract at a certain point. So again, another guy you want to see as much of as you can.
Yeah, if he plays the same way he did last year, he's definitely getting that big money contract.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he might. I don't know. In the middle linebacker spot's like a place where a lot of players get overpaid, and I don't know. It might be a situation where we don't want him to walk, but he might walk. Like
it's one of those things you just can't
know.
afford to keep everybody. And
no, exactly. But I mean, listen. If Micah Parsons is the guy, if JOK is the guy, like pull the trigger, take him. Like. If he sits a little bit this year, who cares? Like, let him get ready for something bigger and better. But either one, maybe even trading back in the first round. If we have no big holes in the roster, it'd be a fantastic spot to just move back, maybe to the 20s or something, pick up some extra draft capital for like next year. There's a lot of options here since we don't have any glaring holes. Maybe outside of running back.
I mean, Peyton,
I'm going to pull us back a little bit. I do want to. If you want to hear more about our draft stuff, we will have another draft show eventually as we get a little bit closer and we feel see what else happens with free agency, where people are going, what's happening. But let's talk about what's happening this last week. It's been kind of an interesting. George Payton has kind of defied expectations a little bit by really rewarding our guys and our defense. Obviously with the Philip Lindsay being let go, that does kind of suck, and we can get into that a little bit on what happened, but he's down in Houston now behind two pretty good running backs. So I'm not sure how much playtime he's going to get there, but so here's what I got so far for our offseason. So we picked up Von Miller's option. Justin Simmons got signed. He got re-signed after we originally franchise tagged him. Ronald Darby is there for 3 years now, so we got him for 3 years. Shelby Harris for 3 years. Now these other two, both defensive backs that we talked about, are going to be really strong, only on 1-year deals. Now Kyle Fuller's is probably a 1-year deal because it's kind of a rough market with the cap being hit is the way it is. And Kareem Jackson's kind of a 1-year deal because kind of the same reason, but also he's going to want to play the field again next year, just like he did this year.
Yeah, both of those guys are going to get a chance if they show out. If this Denver defense is really good this year, it's good for both of those guys' pocketbooks because they get to cash in on a free agent market next year when the cap is, supposedly going to skyrocket. Both of those guys are going to get a chance to hit the open market again and maybe see if they can improve on what they got this year.
Oh, yeah. And I think also it's considered that these guys are coming back to defense they know well. Kyle Fuller is coming back to defense where, he was a stud back in Chicago. You know what I mean? He's going to slide right in here. So these guys, I think, they're in it to win. I think more than chasing money because David, you're right. Next year, the cap is going to just it could be $40-50 million more than it is this year, right? So we're going to wait for the big money deals. But from now, they're just going to come play under Fangio, who they definitely love. And, this defense, these signings, has anything really happened on the offensive side in terms of signing?
No.
Well, not signing, but letting go. I mean,
other than
they were really just. Nick Vannett got let go today, freeing up $2.6 million, something like that. Did we really expect him to stay around? I didn't. It seems like, he was our solid position. I mean, he was solid. I don't know. I wouldn't even have called him solid, but this is going to allow this is going to allow Noah Fant to seriously go off this year.
And Albert O.
Albert O. This is going to free them up to do that. And I liked Nick Vannett, but it was one of those guys I was more excited about than anything really happened with him. So it's kind of bye. Thanks for the extra money.
Right. So here's my only concern is both Noah Fant and Albert O being injury prone. And especially Albert O with his injury last year, it's really difficult. You kind of want that solid guy that is going to be there the whole time. I would not be surprised if we picked up another tight end in free agency / we'd pick up somebody in the draft, probably a late round tight end in the draft. I would not be surprised if we grab another one. So the Nick Vannett, it frees up some space, but he was kind of, as far as like a solid player, he was consistent. He stayed with us. He just, obviously
here's
took
the
up a
thing.
big cap.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like 2.5 million, 2.6 million for who was a guy who was gonna be your third tight end this year. That's not what you do. Yeah, and when all you really want him on the roster to do is block, you can get a blocking tight end for less than $2.5 million.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a few passing plays to get out there. We just got to get a quarterback that throws it to him.
But Alberto is going to get those passing plays going forward.
Like the role he played, man, any tight end can really do that, right? So I think it's a big loss. It's a cap move.
It's definitely replaceable, and that's why.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. So what's going to happen at the running back position? Is there still a player on free agency we can go and pick up?
At this point, and I kind of said on Twitter when we picked him up that Mike Boone, who we got signed from the Vikings, was probably going to be mostly a special teams guy. He was a real core special teamer there. But just looking at his limited running plays that he got there, I'm now not quite so sure of that. He kind of pops on tape. Not a guy who got a just ton of run there, but there was a ton of people ahead of him on the depth chart as far as getting runs in Minnesota. You guys know how Gary Kubiak likes to do his offense. So Boone maybe in at least a number 2 battle with Royce Freeman. I don't know if they would seek a free agent to really take much more of a role. I think if they were going to look for anybody to add to that room, it would be a rookie that they'll draft.
Minnesota talks highly about Boone when he got his. I don't know much about him, but the fans have been speaking highly of him, and a little bit sad to see him go because of what he could do, and maybe that people don't see, kind of like our Royce Freeman, that people wouldn't really know about him, but we'd like that he's there. So he might come into play like that a little bit more than we give him credit for that we know about yet.
That's a good point, because he was he was below Dalvin Cook and Alex Madison, right? So he was just...
So he didn't have a chance to really shine, but people recognized when he did get his time that he was in there doing his thing. So
I think the running back position too. Like every year we see undrafted guys just take off. Phillip Lindsay's a great example. So maybe Boone's going to be another player who just out of nowhere comes out and he's just a stud, right? I don't think Todd Gurley maybe. On a 1-year flyer in training camp?
So here's my thing. I don't think we can count out Freeman because as you saw towards the end of the year, as Phillip Lindsay was kind of not getting played as much / injured, whatever the case was, there's jury's still out on that. They started playing him a lot more, and he was being involved a lot more in the passing game. He can block from the backfield, which I think they like a lot. So I would not be surprised to see just him straight up step up and take that number 2, that 1-2 punch. I don't think. Honestly, that Gordon's going to be 100% number, first down, second down, third down back. I think that there's going to be a good split. I don't think it's going to be 50-50. I think it'll probably be a little bit more 70-30, maybe 60-40 possibly. But I do think that we can't count Freeman out, especially being in this system. If we're going to, play this, we got to keep people in the system and get them to learn the playbook and get them used to the players around them. That's the guy that we want.
Jared is a Royce Freeman truther, and I absolutely love it.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Look at the 2 hats getting along.
There is some mutual ground there somewhere.
Some respect is intended, yeah.
So Fidel, our team will only go as far as our QB play, no matter who it is. And I think that's a good point. It's not just Drew Lock's the guy. Drew Lock sucks. Let's get Watson. But I think the point here is that no matter who it is, we have to rely on that quarterback to step up and make those plays.
Okay, yes. I am not saying no to this, but I am also saying defense wins championships. And I think we're setting ourselves up in a big way. I mean, when we won our Super Bowl, we were crutching on, a great quarterback who was there and a backup quarterback who did his fill-in part, and they split it. And so our QB, we didn't have this outstanding year of one guy doing the whole thing for the whole time. Our defense showed up every friggin' game. and I think that's what we're setting ourselves back up again. And I think that's what Fangio is going to give us. Of course we need a quarterback, but also statistic wise, if you pay your quarterback X amount more than everybody else, you don't win championships.
Yep.
You have to split that money, and you have to actually make a team out of it. And hands down, having a better defense and not letting that other team score points is going to get you further in the game. Granted, you do have to have that quarterback, and we can't be unsure of it, but that has been our X factor the last couple of years, and we just had a weird couple of years.
So that's the point, is we have these weapons around the QB position where we would expect pretty much anyone, the somewhat feasible quarterback, to be able to step in and make those plays with the team that he has around him. So when all these, people are, just going crazy for Watson or going crazy for whoever else, to me, it shouldn't really matter because of the defense we're building, that these guys should be able to step in, make some plays on the offense, move the ball, but then on the defense side of the ball, just absolutely wreck other teams. And so that's where I'm looking for. I'm not too worried about how the quarterback position is going to play out.
I'm not either.
And let's see how Drew Lock comes, plays that first half of the season.
Definitely not giving up on him yet.
No.
I'm not, I'm not disappointed that we haven't jumped all over it and made some extravagant move of, finding somebody else right away. I will stick by that drafting a new guy is not the solution. I will.
Right. This
I will
year,
stick through with that.
You gotta
stick with like Kev says, 100%. Like that's
100%.
not happening.
100%. Now, you know what else?
That's
100%?
not the solution.
Kale, it is 100% way too early to get
way too early for this. Yes,
100%, man.
14 and 2.
I can't wait to get to this part of the conversation. Let's wait till we get to preseason at least before we start talking about that.
Maybe post draft we can start thinking.
I'll give you one.
Kale, I love you in my salad.
I'll give you one prediction that bounces off of what we were just talking about. If Drew Lock cuts his turnovers in half and adds 5 touchdowns to his total, we're a double-digit win team. Yep. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing is, and I keep saying this, all we really have to go off of this team because of how young we are is last year. And last year we were in games, like Ayla was saying, we were in games because of our defense. We just couldn't finish off those pieces because I think we were a very young offense. I think that, like you said, a couple more first downs, a couple more, getting a little bit closer to field goal range, maybe a couple more touchdowns here and there.
It's been 2 years of very close games and, poor record to show for it, but close games. So, yeah, sorry, Jared, to interrupt, but you're exactly right.
Absolutely.
Look what happened with Josh Allen, too. I mean, everybody's like, this guy's a bust, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, huge year, probably the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's hopefully going to carry this throughout. Locke could have that bounce. It's the first time in his career that he's had the same offensive coordinator now for 2 years. Okay, that's pretty cool. A lot of consistency. I don't know. I'm bullish on Locke, man. I really like him. I really think he's going to do well this year. And David, your point, man, if he scores 5 touchdowns more and cuts interceptions in half, we're a two-bit, we're a wild card team for sure, just because the Chiefs are, the division. But I think that, ultimately we push for the playoffs and we make a dent. I don't know. I'm excited, man.
Here's what we got to do, guys, and please keep those comments coming. I'm glad you're here. Hit that share button. We're running behind on some of these comments, so I'm going to push them up a little bit faster.
Hurry up, Jeff.
So we get them going. So this is what Jared and I did last week, but here we go.
Rapid fire. I like it.
Here you go. Too much cap room, even with all these signings.
Yeah, and you know what? If you roll it over next year, which I know the Broncos want to do that, into the year where you've got a cap explosion coming. I mean, even conservatively, if the cap only goes up to $200 million next year and the Broncos roll over $27 million from this year, they've still got $47 million of cap space next year and a bunch of guys that need to be re-signed for sure. But, you've got ammunition to do it now.
Fidel, we can afford to let go of a tight end with Fant and Albert O. Do we bring in Jimmy Graham?
Well, he's a little old, but I like him.
For a 1 year flyer, why not?
He doesn't block.
So
You've got two pass catching tight ends who don't get enough targets.
already don't have any blockers.
That's true.
I didn't know if you had a flea or if you were just like that was the hardest shake that I
No, I'm super. Congratulations to Jimmy Graham and everything that he's achieved in the league. More power to you. But in orange and blue, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm just going to say that we did have a conversation about Locke, and Red Cloud here did agree with us.
I don't think that's what he was agreeing on, but
No,
we'll go.
I don't think so.
I think Kevin just put it into his own.
It wasn't specific
Brevin
enough.
Jordan.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah, Brevin Jordan from the U would be a good second round pick. Go.
I don't know much about him.
Heard of it.
Well, Jared's our college football guy, so that was our.
I mean, I know he's probably a speedy linebacker, I assume, from the University of Miami. I think he was one of those guys. He's a tight end. Never mind. Back off. Who's the linebacker from the U though? There's a linebacker from the U that I was looking at. I don't remember his name. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
here's one. Robert, don't get me started. We did Lindsey dirty. So
We're about to get you started. Okay. Yeah. Lindsey got a raw deal from the second that he wasn't drafted by anybody. Like the Broncos gave him a raw deal last year by not paying him then, and then signing Melvin Gordon because they wanted to do other things at running back. And
I don't think this is the first year he's been done dirty.
I think the least dirty they did him was honestly rescinding his tag and letting him go test his own free agent market and saying, go find your value.
He signed it. It wasn't like a 1 year, $3 million thing with the Texans.
It was essentially a second round tender. He essentially got a second round tender's value, but I think
because he rescinded ours,
but he's going to try. He's going to do. I think what we talked about Fuller and Jackson doing this year is see what he can do in 1 year and test his market again next year.
I think he's going to be the lead guy with Houston. Like they signed Mark Ingram, who's over 30, and they have David Johnson, who is, anyways. And then like that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Like Duke Johnson's gone, so Philip Lindsay's going to be that number, first, second down guy, and then slide in the other guys to catch passes. Like I don't know. It's
Johnson's their guy. I mean, they gave away Hopkins for Johnson.
Yeah, that was Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien's guy. This is a new have you looked at the moves they made? They've made 30 signings this offseason.
They were crazy.
They took all Bill O'Brien's mistakes and just fucking fixed all of them, put a Band-Aid. It's held together with duct tape and toothpicks.
Band-Aid sounds better.
Band-Aid, yeah, maybe Band-Aids. But I don't know, the Philip Lindsay thing, I think he was just looking for a fresh start maybe, but why couldn't we afford him for a 1 year, $3 million contract?
We could. We could have. I don't get
that move.
I don't think it was about money. I think it was just that we weren't going to be using him. It straight up was that Pat Shurmur didn't value what he had to offer to this offense, and they just decided that his snaps would be better off somewhere else.
Now, here's the thing, and David, you brought this up, and I'm going to bring it up now.
Yeah.
Worst nightmare is that we do trade back in the first round, and we pick a running back in the first round after letting Lindsey go.
I want to say this to everybody who's watching now. We love you guys. We appreciate you. John, Robert, Zach, Cody. Thanks for coming out, Cody. Jerry. We appreciate all of you and we love you, and Fidel too. But man, you guys are going to be real hard to deal with if we trade back for a first round running back in the year that we let Philip Lindsay go.
Remember, guys, we're going to do a whole draft, pre-draft show. We're going to be live during the draft. All this stuff, so we got a lot of time to talk about that. Fidel, we're trying to catch up to your comments, guys. So don't leave if we haven't got to them yet. So from what we've seen from Peyton so far, what would you do to compare him to John Elway at this point?
Well, we didn't sign a big quarterback this year, so it's great.
It's still early. We have the draft. So here's my big thing is in a very small window of Peyton. What I didn't like about Elway, and he did it every single year, is he would franchise someone, let them play almost the entire year until it was time to decide, and then try to sign him. I think the Justin Simmons signing as franchising him and then signing him right away instead of letting him play the whole year and then trying to figure out a deal was for me mad respect for him, and that's what I like the best about Peyton over Elway.
Yeah, smart. Yeah. I like that he didn't do any fancy, flashy signings. He stuck to the system. He went after guys that were going to fit well, and it's just like the Broncos aren't trying to redo their identity. You know what I mean? Like we're sticking to what we were building, and it's just kind of building on top of it. So Peyton just seems to come in and like he just blended right in, which I really liked.
And my last piece on this one too with Peyton is imagine being in Peyton's position right now. He's like, you want all these guys? Cool, I'm giving them all you guys because guess what? If you guys don't do well, you're all gone. He's basically the only one. He's the only one with job security right now. Like the whole coaching staff, the quarterbacks, like everybody is like on the hot seat.
The water boy.
Like, he's sitting here like, who do you want? Who do you want? I'll give you everybody because if you don't do well, I'm starting over.
Yeah. There's no excuses. Absolutely. And for that reason, it's possible that we may not really see how George Payton constructs a roster until next season, how he would do it his way. And I don't think that's to say that Elway is still influencing him or pulling the strings. I think Payton's the actual guy running football decisions. And we'll get a little bit of a preview of what he wants to do with this team in the draft. But unless this team goes double-digit wins, like you guys were saying, none of these guys are going to be here next year. And then we'll find out how George Payton really thinks this roster should be constructed.
But consider too, David, like you said earlier, like the cap is going to skyrocket next year. So this year, every team is just kind of like holding back, safe moves, short contracts, and next year it's going to be like, okay, like let's build. You know, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Fangio and Shermer and the crew like leave if the season doesn't go our way. But if we have a winning season, if we make the playoffs, I'll keep everybody.
Like
just keep building. Yeah, exactly. You know,
right.
This guy has nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, Ziggy, defense has never been part of the issue. If we can't score, we will not win, especially in our division. Flows into Christopher's comment here. Freeman will get more pass offense because he's the better catcher and pass blocker. So I think we have touched on this one already, but I do think that you're going to see Freeman more involved in the backfield. Red Cloud had a mistype here. He said, but Locke doesn't suck. So I appreciate that, even with the typo. Not if you can only score with 9 points on the field. Kale.
That's tough.
Defense wins championships, but the O-line needs to be solid enough to protect whoever we have about him.
Now,
so we get Juwan James back.
Mm-hmm.
We get Juwan James back. I think we have a pretty solid offensive line. I think the only person on the offensive line that was really rough was Cushenberry, and he was a rookie, and I think he's coming back in his second year with a solid offensive line. I think our offensive line is going to look pretty good this year. But again, I mean, we're a losing team last year, and we're talking about all these people coming back and being a great team. So, you know,
right.
And the thing with Cushenberry is he still showed up. That dude has a lot of heart, which is what every team is all about. And you know, I think he did his own as a rookie center. Like he still held his own good enough.
He paid his dues.
You know, like what more can you ask for with that position? Like
he didn't miss a snap.
And with Munchak there, I think Munchak can really turn him into, you know, someone that's, I mean, he was getting better towards the end of the season, and Munchak can do some work with him.
It's an average offensive line. I mean, honestly, like we're so used to it being bad for the Broncos, we're kind of conditioned to think of it as just automatically, oh, no, we have a bad offensive line. We just don't right now. It's average. Right. And, you know, right tackle.
Mitchell Schwartz.
I see that's the thing. Mitchell Schwartz has been on the open market for a while, and I would not mind him at the right price, but if he's, you know, what kind of deal is he going to end up signing? Because I don't think he's going to be a Bronco. Yeah.
You know, even if it's like a 1 year deal, like 2 years and front load the money and release him next year, like whatever. But like, I mean, he's coming off an injury. I think that's maybe why he's still waiting. But like, I don't know, man, Mitchell Schwartz, like, man, get rid of Juwan James at that point. Like, this guy would be, I don't know, heck of an addition. Maybe it's a division rivalry thing too. Like,
so, Jerry, we need a new quarterback, and I think we've kind of covered this already. Drew Lock will be.
It's going to be talked about a lot. I mean, people are always going to be bringing this up right now. I don't blame them. There's opinions on both sides.
Except for Red Cloud.
And, you know, I know. Well,
Drew.
and Red Cloud, we appreciate you too, even though you're wrong.
If we didn't have you guys, we would have a much less interesting show.
No, but that's seriously, like, why? If we just had solid QB, we wouldn't have to bring it up. But the fact of the matter is, we are in this weird gray area. A lot of people believe in Locke and don't want to let him go, and a lot of people are friggin' over it. A lot of people are just like sick of it, and they'd rather have a replacement. They'd like to take this short, you know, answer to the question, but that's not always it. I think this offseason and preseason is going to tell us a lot. And I'm not giving up on him yet. Like, I'm going to give him 6.5 games, and then I'll know.
Then we'll know.
Well, he needs competition. Let's be real. If we want Drew Lock to get better, we need somebody who's going to push him on the depth chart. Like, Brett Rippion's not going to do it, and whoever the other backup is. But, like, you know, I think that the fact that he is definitely a starting quarterback, it's not necessarily a negative thing, but, like, who's pushing him to get better? Who's going to, like, in practice, kind of like, how is Sherman going to be like, Lock, you got to step up, man. So-and-so's doing better than you. Like, you know, I think it'd be great to have a new backup quarterback.
Well, he hasn't gotten to mentor behind anybody anyways. I mean, the one thing that he has going for him is that he's confident. You know, he's a decent quarterback. And the rest of it is kind of falling into place. I mean, everybody can talk about his footwork and, you know, reading, and his eyes are all over the place. But, like, he has quarterback mentality. He's what the Broncos look for in a quarterback. You know, every time we pick a quarterback, he is the guy that is just, like, fits into the 3D printed mold of what we would pick every time. But he just has to do a little bit better. But last year he didn't get a fair chance. In the year before he didn't get a fair chance. So, like, we give him a fair chance this year, and then we should know. And
and on your point, Ayla, that's exactly what it is. It's like his footwork's good. He's everything you look for in a quarterback, and his issue was decision making. Now, whether that was a decision making in Shermer's offense or whether that was a decision making in his head when he gets under pressure, those are things that we're not really going to feel except for the guys on the field. And Matt, I agree. I think Alex Smith is the guy that we need to bring in because he needs to come off the field. He needs to come off the field with someone with an iPad who's been out there before to show him this is what you're looking at. This is what I see. Let's fix this. And I think Alex Smith would be the number one guy for me right now. I would love
that. I would love Alex Smith.
I agree with that.
And we need somebody who, like, in that moment where Flock throws 2 interceptions, bench him and put Smith in. Send a message like, kid, this is not acceptable. You're going to make these mistakes. We're going to roll with somebody else.
NFL, you are playing in the NFL. This isn't college. This isn't high school football. Like, welcome to the NFL. And you don't just get it. Like, I know you like dancing on the sidelines, but, like, let's win a friggin' game and throw some fucking touchdowns. Sorry for my F-bomb, but seriously.
You're not wrong.
For a family-friendly show.
Alex Smith is going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar.
There's only one. My bad.
Like, it's yeah, definitely. He's going to go play for Urban Meyer, his old college coach. He's going to back up Trevor Lawrence, and that's going to ride off into the sunset of his career. That's what's going to happen this year. Jared, you can make that face all you want. Alex Smith isn't going to be in blue and orange this year.
No, but we're still in hypothetical world too.
Tell you what. Here's the deal. Okay, if Alex Smith goes to the Jaguars, all right, Jared has to wear a beanie for the rest of the year. If Alex Smith goes anywhere else than the Jaguars, David has to wear a visor.
A visor.
No, I don't.
Put your balls on the table.
Not. Absolutely.
Yeah, hey, David, how confident are you with this Jaguars bet?
I get a 1 in 32 chance.
Yeah, make a really good bet out of it, you guys.
You were the confident one here. You were the one that was super confident about this. I was just sitting here minding my own business.
32 odds, Jared. I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. All right.
Hey, everyone, hit that share button. Hit that share button, hit that react button. Really appreciate everybody's support. Let's see, John.
Something like that. Like, if, I mean, come on, you guys.
And if you want to have a show or two,
the original puffball versus visor.
If you want to put that he goes to the Broncos this year and not any of the other teams in the league, I'll make that bet.
Hold on. You were the confident one here. I was just sitting here minding my own business. You were the one that was throwing out these confident statements.
Did I make a bet, or did Matt make a bet on my behalf?
I made a bet on your behalf.
That's right.
But
yeah, absolutely.
I think he should be a Bronco. He could be a Jaguar.
If we could pick, I mean, I think we're all in agreement. Like, if we could pick, like, he's our guy. Is it going to happen? Probably not.
Sure.
You never know. We could still trade for another quarterback. I mean, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, don't worry, Rob. It's not going to happen.
Alex Smith.
It's not
going to happen.
Okay, John. So still pissed with Vic and his timeouts. Overall, in general, do you think that Vic Fangio has really improved and is going to improve this next season in his head coaching ability?
As a head coach, yeah.
Meh.
He's a 60-plus-year-old man.
Andy Reid still isn't good at it.
So, yeah, some tricks can't be like, I don't know. I think the timeout thing is pretty tricky. I think it's easy for fans to sit on their couch and say, why do you do that? It's a shitty timeout. When you're in the moment, the heat of the game, like, you make that call. But honestly, like, will he get better? I don't think so. I think by week 2 we'll be like, fucking fire Vic, man. He can't make a damn timeout call, like, blah, blah, blah. You know what it is. Nobody's perfect except for Mahomes, so,
Okay.
Just to see his face, it was worth it. Yeah, see you, Jerry. Later.
Jerry says if, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
That's what we were talking about with the Drew Lock stuff.
Lots of ifs, but
there's lots of ifs. I mean, that's it. That comment is spot on.
Yep.
And that's why it's off season, and even during the season.
Josh Dobbs. Okay.
Jerry, there's a better one out there. Still talking about
quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks.
It's just hard though with our market right now. Yeah, I don't think
which quarterback out there right now is better than Drew Lock.
Well,
that's available.
That's it.
Alex Smith, fine.
The Deshaun Watson is going to take forever to figure out whatever, and we're not going to get into that. But
it's going to trade for Deshaun, man.
But that's going to take an awfully long time to sort out. We should talk about that as a realistic option maybe next year as opposed to the rest of this year because it's going to take a minute. Russell Wilson's not getting traded, and if he was, the Broncos aren't on his short list of teams he would take anyway. The only conceivable guy who is out there I think of as an upgrade right now is maybe Matt Ryan. His contract is absolutely absurd.
$40 million, man. It's not going to happen.
From a Falcons fan, he just nah.
Yeah, right. It's not.
You would trade.
Oh man, that ain't me.
Drew Lock, a 24-year-old, for Matt Ryan at the tail end of his career. Get the fuck out of here! Like
he might be better with this supporting cast than what Drew Lock offers now. The contract is prohibitive.
Listen, I am a huge Matt Ryan fan. I'm not. You started me. I'm a huge Matt Ryan fan. But without Julio Jones, that man has nothing like the career he's had. If you bring Matt Ryan to the Broncos, man, I'm sorry, but you're not necessarily in a better spot than you are with Drew Lock.
Fair enough.
Drew Lock has a stronger arm. Drew Lock is more athletic. There's many things. Matt Ryan is ingrained in Atlanta. He's going to cost $40 million this year, and what's going to happen is going to happen.
So when you're at the end of that list, who do you have that's actually better than Drew Lock right now?
Teddy Bridgewater, maybe?
No, I think he's probably on the same level.
Yeah.
Well, I see people throw the name Gardner Minshew in there. Like, talk about a fun guy to watch play football and might bring some competition into the game. He's won a few games and just like comes out there, slings the ball. I don't know.
I mean, Gardner Minshew and Nick Foles are the two guys right now who reasonably you could go get. Just not we're not talking about whether they're better or not, but just contract wise, availability wise, that's who you could get right now. Neither of those, I don't think anybody would say that's an immediate upgrade, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's immediate upgrade, but talk about a competition of like play for your spot.
Yeah, sure. Lock needs competition. He needs somebody to push him. He doesn't necessarily need somebody who's.
I don't know if the mentor thing can happen right now, but Minshew would bring competition for him because that guy's all heart and all quarterback, and that dude. Is he a little bit? But I don't know if he's better or worse, but he's definitely would be competition just flat out.
You would.
Another thing we haven't really thought about is there a possibility that there's a low grade quarterback somewhere out there that could be possibly the next guy that we could get in the 6th or 7th round
about any draft. Nobody knew Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady when Tom Brady was drafted.
But you can, that's
nobody.
I'm not saying that there is a name, but I'm saying like, is there a possibility that there's someone out there that we're just not thinking about? That's just like maybe he can come in and be that guy for a little while.
There's a possibility.
Uncle Rico.
That name floated
Chad
around.
Kelly.
Oh, Kev.
Kelly,
I
can't remember his name.
I will take my vacuum to your house and beat you with it.
Adele said Uncle Rico too. Jeez, I didn't even see that. Oh my God, Cody
Rourke was watching. Cody Rourke was watching. I appreciate him tuning in. Make sure you go check out his podcast. And Cody, I want to hear if you are Team Puffball or Team Visor / I want you to just admit that you are Team Visor. It'll help us a lot.
Cody's a real good guy and would never do that. He's a real good guy.
Or you can join my team and be team wear whatever the hell you want.
I'm on that team. Let's start our own team.
We got it.
All right.
Name's not catchy enough. It's too long. Can't put that in tweets.
You're not on our team, Jared. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Okay, thank you.
Team whatever the heck I want to
It's
wear.
team
the hell
fuck
want
you,
it.
right? That's what it is.
Oh, okay. That's much better and catchier. Yeah.
Team F you.
You
Team
can
FU.
you can tweet that. You can put Team FU in a tweet. That's a thing you could do.
We're too cool for Twitter.
Yeah.
John here. Judy like to see Judy clean up some of his drops.
Nice.
Led the rookies with 10. To me, I'm thinking all he's doing, or like one of the only things he's doing this offseason, is just catching balls left and right and left and right. And I mean, that's all he's doing, right? So I
working on
am having that problem again.
He knows.
Yeah, well, he knows.
Yeah,
he knows. Especially
You saw his
after
press
being hyped up.
conference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his press
He
conference
knows.
at the end of the year, he
Why
was
wouldn't he know?
distraught.
What's that?
Why wouldn't he know? I mean, of course he knows.
It's not so much a question of he knows. He knows and is willing / currently in the process of fixing it.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially being hyped up as having the surest hands in the draft, and then he just drops everything. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry, his ego is hurt. He's gonna fix it next year.
Yeah.
If he drops one ball, man, he's probably gonna retire. Like, he's coming out a new man for
Like,
sure.
I give up. I tried. I give up. Okay, is there a free agent tackle? And guys, I'm trying to once again keep up to your comments before
Mitchell
we
Schwartz.
get into the show.
I love all
Tackle
these
we could
people
sign.
here. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. This is super fun.
Yeah, this is
Off-season
awesome.
Funness. I love it that you guys are here. You guys are the best.
Let's make
so
sure we
true.
get that most recent comment, Christopher's most recent comment up now. We're going to skip it ahead into the line here.
Go for it.
Yeah, that's the one. Good night,
I didn't
Christopher.
say anything.
Mhm. Good night, Christopher, from all
I
of us.
missed it.
I didn't see
Good night
it.
to you as well, Christopher. Terrible
thanks.
choice in headgear, but
Excellent
we'll work on
choice
that
in
later.
headgear, and go Team Puff.
Also, I want to talk about this. We were talking about Jerry Jeudy had more drops than T-Mobile. That's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, yeah. Jerry
it's
Jeudy,
kinda sad.
hopefully not
T-Mobile's
watching.
pretty reliable now that it has AT&T to connect with.
Oh,
Never mind.
yeah.
Let's go.
Plus that guy, what's his name, that does the commercials. Anyway,
No,
tackle.
other than
I don't
Mitchell
think-
Schwartz, I don't think it's going to happen.
Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah.
He's still out there.
Yeah.
I thought there was another one. Who's another left tackle that hasn't been signed yet?
I don't
But
know, but
I feel like at this point, if we wanted to go out and replace James, we would have.
Right.
And that's like one of the coolest thing about George Payton so far. And again, we have a very limited amount of
Eric Fisher.
watching him. But so far, what we've seen, I mean, he signed Fuller in what, like 38 minutes
34.
from him being released.
Yeah.
So it's like if he knows what he wants, he's going to go out. Same thing with Ronald Darby. He got Ronald Darby basically right as
No, and,
free
like,
agency hit.
And you guys knew it was going to happen too. Like, props to you guys because you were guys like Fuller's going on, and we were like day ahead, and then it was
Yeah, we're like waiting for it.
Now he's on, and then it's like we got him.
What,
I mean, we're friggin'
the
on it. I
stupidest
love it.
24 hours. And they
The
wouldn't
thing-
let him go because they thought the Packers were going to be the ones who were after him the hardest.
trade
They
him.
kept trying to
Yeah.
trade him instead. It was like, guys, come on, the Bears. This is why you're the Bears. Anyway.
What about like the
This is
fact
why
that
I love. This is why I love being a part of this team because you guys are on it. You guys are all football all day, and seriously,
We got
there's
no
so many
lives.
things that pop up, and it's just like you guys already know. It's magical. You guys are like
We
magical
try.
football unicorns.
I like
now.
I've never
here's
been
an
called a
interesting
magical
one.
football unicorn.
well, look
know,
like
I'm
Putting that on my
2019
Twitter
Lock,
profile.
Justin Herbert, like that's a weird comparison to 2019 Lock, man. Like, watch every one of Justin Herbert's games, and he was significantly better than Drew Lock was in the entirety of his 3-year career. Like, I'm not huge on the Herbert train, but last year, like, man's got a cannon. He's athletic. Like, he made some plays. Like, I don't know.
He already
Okay.
proved
And to play devil's advocate, like how many rookie quarterbacks have we seen that like have a
Absolutely.
good first year and then they're just poof gone bye?
Mitchell
Like,
Trubisky
they
made a
don't
play
have
goal.
the build up
Goal.
behind them, and
Mhm.
especially like the team that you're with. Like good
Mhm.
luck with the Chargers. Like come on,
Yeah.
like, the organization that is going to build him. Not to discredit his talent and that he's not, can't do his thing, but let's see his longevity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Mitch Trubisky made a Pro Bowl. That's all I got to say, right? I think Herbert, throw to Trevor Siemian. I think Herbert has an immense amount of potential. I think that the Chargers are super stoked on having him, but the verdict is still out, I think, before we can crown him as a franchise guy. But I'd probably rather have Justin Herbert than Drew Lock right now.
That's fact.
I'm going to be that guy and say it. I think he's got more upside than Drew Lock, and I'm a big fan of Drew Lock. So
you're awesome, team. F you, Matt.
he has the same hype that Drew Lock had going into last year. Came in as a backup, played very well in the few games you got to see him in. Although I think he played more games than Drew Lock.
He played.
No, I think he didn't come into like week 6.
That's most of the season still. That's 10 games.
Justin Herbert played more than 10 games, I'm pretty sure.
Either way, I think he already throws the deep ball more consistently than Drew Lock does.
And farther.
Well, of course he throws it farther. That's great.
Okay. Here, man, Herbert threw 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 10 picks. He had a 98.3 rating last year, and he played 15 games.
15.
Wow.
There you go. All right. So that 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, that's no joke.
That's good.
4,300 yards, no joke as well.
And 4,300 yards.
66% completion percentage. Pretty damn good.
Oh,
Shall I look up Drew Lock, or is my argument made?
Let's not. Let's get onto this much more happy question from Fidel. Oh gosh, I don't even want
happy
to read
question.
It out loud. I don't even want to read it out loud.
This is not even. This is for trivia night. This is a trivia night question when we are like slammered and we can factually.
And Jared writes down 69.
I can. I'll find a coach that never coached for us.
I'll go McDaniels just because Joseph never cost us draft picks by cheating.
There you go.
Put it that way.
Or traded away some of our best players out of spite.
Sure, right. That too.
Yeah, McDaniels is a bum as a head coach. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Non-Broncos news. This is a fun one. Non-Broncos news. Any of you laughing at Flacco is with the Eagles? I wouldn't say laughing. The man's making a paycheck.
The guy's still in the league.
Right, yeah, but
still won a Super Bowl.
If I'm not mistaken, he actually got a decent deal for a backup quarterback.
It does make me laugh that we're trying to justify Joe Flacco starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Remember Jared was really into that idea?
I do remember that. Yeah, which you know what, Jared got the Tim Patrick thing right, but he also got the Joe Flacco / Paxton Lynch.
Oh my God, I hated Joe Flacco so much from day one. You guys know this. Don't play me.
It makes me real nervous. It makes me real nervous.
Jared bought the jersey and everything. It was kind of crazy.
Haven't seen that 5 jersey in a while, Jared. What happened?
Yeah.
I hate all of you. What am I doing?
Listen, we have to bring this up. I mean, Kevin messaged me like a few weeks ago. He was really bummed out, and I just want to bring this up. But when Cam Newton signed with the Pats, man.
Yeah, I was
heartbroken.
I finally stopped crying over
crying.
Yeah.
He was so excited to get.
If you weren't in Canada, I would strangle you.
Listen, what if they run? If they run that,
man. We have free healthcare. Just walk my way to the hospital and stitch me up, and we get it. That's all good.
That just means I could do it again and again and again.
That's all good, man.
He's friendly enough; he'll let you. What if the Patriots just take their Cam Newton and their 6 tight ends and win 11 games, and it's just we're the assholes over here just watching Bill Belichick do Belichick things again? Ugh.
Hey Zach, glad you're here, man.
With this Joe Flacco thing, he just signed $3.5 million guaranteed to play with the Eagles as a backup quarterback.
That's nothing, man.
I don't know.
As a backup quarterback to sit around and do what?
Dude, the backup quarterbacks. Remember last year when the backups
potentially take over and win the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Isn't that what backup quarterbacks have to do?
Good point, Ayla.
Especially in Philly, specifically in Philly.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get a statue of yourself outside the Philadelphia Stadium there.
That's not a lot of money for
old man Flacco, not too bad.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cheap, I think. Backups are important. Remember when our backups went in, how good we looked? Your offense is only as good as your backup quarterback.
Remember when our backup was Jeff Driscoll? Oh wait, remember
when our backup was, what was it, Hilton? Practice squad
You mean
receiver?
our only quarterback?
Oh, yeah, sorry,
boy.
my bad.
Oh, here we
My
go.
Yeah.
Here we
Him,
go.
yeah.
Oh God.
It is. We have 50. It is 55 minutes into the show. We do not have another 45 minutes to devote to this. All right, guys.
I have one sip of beer left. Like I'm.
Yeah.
Right. This is my last sip of whiskey, and I'm not going to get more. So,
Well, sorry I brought it up. Damn.
yeah, you should be. All right.
No,
Fidel, I think that
another
comment goes for
trivia
all of
night.
us.
Come on.
Bradley
Oh,
Van
yeah.
Pelt. Oh my goodness.
I
Bradley
do remember
Van
when our
Pelt.
backup was Bradley Van Pelt, the CSU star.
Anybody remember Mark Sanchez preseason game?
Yeah,
That
you
was
mean-
Oh, man.
his
Yeah,
preseason
right.
game where he had like 2 fumbles and like 3 interceptions, just walked out knowing he was not going to stay with the team.
He's like,
And like
"All
that
right,
was, like until going into that game, everyone was talking about him like he was going to start. Like,
yeah.
he was gonna, like he was getting all
He
these
had-
first
I
team
had
reps.
it pop up on my time hop, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Dirty Sanchez?" Question mark. Like, is this really happening? No,
No,
it's
no,
not
it's not.
happening.
That was the Trevor Simeon year because we brought him in being like, oh, he's going to
Yeah.
be the guy, and then he just shit the bed, walked out of the stadium, was like, I'm just going to pack my bags now.
I'm
And
kidding.
Jared had
Yeah.
another jersey he couldn't wear.
I know my Mark Sanchez jersey's still hanging in my.
So that it have like the face plant mark in the guy's ass, like.
Remember when like Mark Sanchez went to, was it like 2 or 3 consecutive AFC championship games?
Yeah.
Remember when he was like one of these like great young quarterbacks we just loved?
Yes,
Coming
I
out of
remember when
USC,
Rex
he
Ryan,
was-
right. Yeah, I remember when Rex Ryan was coaching a good defense. Yes, Matt.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the sick running game, LT had a rebirth and like all
Right,
this
yeah,
stuff,
and
right?
the
It was-
Right.
Tomlinson was a jet. Yeah,
Mark
right.
Sanchez was like, I hope they don't realize how much I suck. Like,
Right.
oh my god.
Average farm remembers.
Well,
Hey,
on
I'll-
that note,
I think it's time. Let's go around the room and kind of give us all a chance for some closing thoughts. Jared, I'll start with you, man.
Closing thoughts, free agency. I think Peyton has done a pretty good job so far. I think he's, I like the fact that he's sticking with our guys that we know are good. Next year is going to be difficult, and it's going to be an interesting year. But George Peyton is building it up to where he's the only one that can't get fired. So, take it as that is. Just imagine that there's a lot of hot seats next year, and I think that we are going to have a decent team next year, a pretty good team that's going to be playoff contention worthy. But let's see how this draft goes. Let's see how the rest of the offseason goes, and just take it one day at a time, and always go Broncos.
David.
Man, exciting to go into the draft with a roster with very few holes, except we have talked about quarterback for a good portion of the show. But other than that, you've got real opportunities to just improve as much as you can by getting best player available everywhere you go. So I'm really excited to see how we go forward towards the draft and see how we improve our team as the offseason goes forward.
Ayla.
I just want to say I'm really proud to be a Broncos fan today. And
She's
it's really
drunk.
exciting. I'm actually this the second
I'm a little
year
drunk.
all year. So no, I'm really
all year.
I'm really I'm not drinking beer, you guys. Let's get back on topic. Knock it off. I'm thinking that we are looking pretty good right now. So I like building up the defense. I'm grateful that we brought back Von Miller. That was a big if for me. That was up in the air that I'm really excited for because I think we have a heartbeat to the team and something to build around. I know our QB position is kind of gray. Some people don't believe. Some people are all in. And, that will be it. But I think we're off to a good start right now for as early as it is. So I'm proud of this new front that we have to it. Peyton is doing his own part. It looked a little slowly but surely, and that's just slow and steady wins the race. So I think we got to stick with it. Looks good. Go Broncos.
And I think we've done everyone except for me, so I'll go ahead and go last. Matt, go for it. Go for it, buddy.
wow. Usually it's hard for me to hear you all the way from up here. But whatever. No,
Watch out.
I'm really glad that Elway finally listened to us, stepped back, and let somebody else do the football stuff. Let him do the business side. Let whatever. But getting a GM was the best decision he's made. I think Peyton has done a fantastic job this year, getting great essential key players to fill those holes that we had on defense. I was worried early in the offseason. I'm like, man, maybe the Broncos are going to regress this year, but not at all. They stay the same in many positions, and they've upgraded at others, and I'm really excited. And here's another thing I wanted to bring up, and I forgot. Juwan James hasn't played in 2 years. The man has got fresh legs. That we can't say that about Mitchell Schwartz or Villanueva or Eric Fisher. This guy's going to be fresh, athletic, hungry, ready to go. So I'm excited for him too. That's it. All right, bye everyone. Thanks for showing up tonight.
Thanks for showing up. I'm glad everybody got to say their
Everybody.
piece.
Look, if
tuning
that's
in
where
tonight.
we're at.
I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I hate you
Let's
guys.
just keep it tracking, Kevin.
Just because I started doesn't mean you can throw it. Okay, if that's a great comment we had tonight. There's gonna be a lot of questions answered once we get to the draft. Remember that we're gonna do that pre-draft show. We're gonna be live during the draft up through the Broncos pick. So if they trade back, we're going to be on there for a little while longer. So we'll see how that all works out. And then we're going to be doing some fun trivia shows and stuff, whatnot, through the rest of the offseason. So watch out for us. We're going to be live. We're going to be bringing you content. I'm just glad you're all here with us. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at Orange Weekly. Both Ayla and David have been killing it over there. And just some fantastic stuff. So glad you're all here. Glad all my co-hosts are here. And I think I have nothing else to say.
I also want to plug, I think we're going to do a couple of crossover shows through the off season.
Yep.
With a couple other Broncos media people. We're really excited about it. We're going to do a draft duel with one of them. And once we get all those details ironed out, we'll let you know. But that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. And we're really excited about that.
Kicker in the first round. Kicker in the first round.
Kevin, this isn't your fantasy draft, okay?
I'll have you know, Kevin went to the finals, so
he did.
I do not acknowledge this finals finish and never will.
I will also like to acknowledge that I won the league.
We do know that, yes.
Kevin still went to the finals.
Cheers. I don't acknowledge that the 2020 fantasy football season actually occurred.
Okay. You're all awesome. We're going to wrap it up. Avs are playing up next here in just a second. Yeah, Zach, there you go. Okay, here we go.
New team.
End it on a strong.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a pro.